Greetings and salutations. I would say welcome back, but then again, it's not like you went anywhere. We just did, right? That's the old saying in radio and TV, Derek. Like the viewer didn't go away. We did.
Well, they might have
technically
gone on summer break of some sort and then come back in time to watch this episode.
It is, by the way, episode Jackie Robinson, right?
Yes. Episode Ronnie Lott. Episode
Lott
Scott
42?
May. Apparently, I'm looking at a list right here online, and he was part of that.
Who else?
Was Sid Luckman number 42?
Okay.
You're old, so I figured that you would know what number Sid Luckman was.
I'm gray. I'm getting more and more gray by the day.
I am starting to get a little salt and pepper, too, but it makes me look distinguished.
Okay. Well, the Jimmies shirt does not. What's going on with that?
Oh, well, we've got a whole story on this coming up. I'm going to save that for later on the show. This is called a tease. This is a visual tease. No, I know it's a T-shirt, but this is just going to tease everybody into being like, where did Schultz get that awesome shirt? And I'll tell you later on in the program. So you have to actually watch this show in its entirety.
There's nobody in the Midwest that thinks anything about that shirt other than the fact that you are promoting prophylactics.
Actually, you know what I'm promoting is that you and everyone else that was a Jimmy's detractor lost. So that's what I'm going to promote coming up later on in the show.
So. Hi there, how are you? My name is Jake Query. That is Derek Schultz, and this is the incredibly creatively and appropriately named, somewhat charitably award-winning Query and Schultz program here on ISC Sports Network. A lot to get to today, Derek, and this happens sometimes where just the news cycle is such that something happens right after we complete one show. So, but we probably should get to the fact that, and we had kind of hinted about this. I mean, I had a feeling this was a possibility. I'm not going to say it would be disingenuous for me to say I knew this was going to happen. But I knew that when Rick Carlisle left the Dallas Mavericks that he was going to be in the mix here to come back to Indiana because of the relationship he has with the front office with the Pacers. But Rick Carlisle is back. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's a grand slam for the Pacers because when you look at what they wanted, and clearly this is a team that coveted a veteran head coach. They weren't going to give a first go-around to Chauncey Billups, Becky Hammond, or anybody. They weren't going to go down that again after the disaster that was Nate Bjorkgren. And they wanted somebody with some experience. And when you look at all of the candidates that had experience, Terry Stotts, Steve Clifford, Brian Shaw, who obviously was an assistant here as well, besides being a head coach in Denver, none of those guys come close, resume-wise, to what Rick Carlisle has done in his nearly 20 years as an NBA head coach. So what's so interesting to me, Jake, is that this franchise has completely changed since Rick Carlisle left. 2007 was a long, long time ago.
Right.
I mean, that predates the Dunleavy-Murphy era. And that feels like ancient history, right? You had the cycle with Paul George and David West and George Hill and those teams. You had another cycle here recently with Domas Sabonis and Miles Turner and a lot of these guys that, I don't know, presumably I guess he's going to inherit. I do think there's going to be some roster changes coming up here. But I think given what the Pacers wanted, this seemed to me to be the best move for them because Rick Carlisle is a marriage of the positive traits that they had with Nate McMillan, old school, commands respect, former player,
right, and
what I think they thought they were getting with Nate Bjorkgren, which was a
innovation,
modern basketball, right, open to analytics guy. So he's kind of a mesh of those two things.
I think the thing that Carlisle does, there are two things, Derek, that come to mind to me. Indiana and the people of Indiana, which I'm one of them, obviously, are I shouldn't say unique. Maybe this is true in a lot of places, but you know, we have a pride in the things that we consider to be rooted as us, as we. And the Pacers, I think, Pacer fans felt like, you know, Rick Carlisle had kind of become one of us, if you will. He was an Indiana guy. I mean, he's not, I realize. But, you know, he had played with Larry Bird, and he was handpicked by Larry Bird, and he came in, and he was on the bench with Larry Bird, and then, you know, he was running the franchise, and you were going with this stability where you had the front office and the head coach, and it was kind of like the Spurs where it was a franchise that was like a program, and you knew the players might change, but the things at the top were stable. And then the brawl happened, and eventually, due to a number of circumstances, Rick Carlisle moves on, and you go through, as you had just mentioned, different eras. Now you had a guy coming in, and Nate Bjorkgren, that everybody's like, who is this guy? And Kevin Pritchard is trying to get his footing now as the new era of executive leadership. And so I think there was a subconscious feeling among Pacer fans of like, it feels like outsiders now all of a sudden are coming in and taking over. Like, well, who is the franchise here?
Mm-hmm.
I long for the old days of the Pinstripes and Reggie and Jeff Foster and boom, now you have the guy that links you back to that, and you just feel that there's a comfort level that you have in fact been. You have somebody that you've known a long time that is the one that is running your Airbnb, and you just feel better about it.
I also want to talk about kind of what the gesture means here, because it's no accident that the Pacers released the fact that he signed a $29 million deal. You don't have to go public with what you pay your head coach. We don't know how much Nate Bjorkgren made. We don't know how much Frank Vogel made. Right. There's a reason why they attached that big 29 to their press release. They want fans to know that, okay, we're ready to get serious now. You know, the last couple of coaching cycles, Jake, they haven't really taken that seriously. Frank Vogel was a nobody. No one knew who Frank Vogel was, a former video coordinator and assistant. I remember people thinking that Lester Connor was going to get that job and get elevated. And then, of course, Vogel became a really respected head coach and a great guy, and I was a big fan of Frank Vogel. Nate McMillan was had head coaching experience, but was an elevated assistant as well. Nate Bjorkgren was an elevated assistant from Toronto who came out of nowhere to win that job. So you'd have to assume that, let's say, we know Carlisle's making a little bit over $4 million. I would be surprised if any of those Pacers coaches were making more than half that.
I would agree
when
with that.
they were here,
Probably
if not
3.
significantly less.
Right.
So it's not just one thing. The Pacers have, and we'll get to this here in a little bit, the Pacers, to me, have some roster issues that need to be ironed out, and it's going to be interesting to see what those end up being, notably with Domas Sabonis, because I'm not really sure that he's going to be a fit with what Carlisle wants to do. But I think this was the first step in the right direction. This takes the rebuild off the table, which they were never going to do anyway. They're the Pacers, right? But this also, I think, allows them to really kind of hit the ground running, presuming that this core is healthy, at least what is going to remain of this core on next year's roster, and you give somebody who is not learning on their job a chance to kind of take the reins of this franchise.
I think releasing the financials of it, okay, 7.25 a year, it does two things, Derek. You make a good point in the fact that it tears down the stigma of, see, the Pacers are just cheap and easy. Yeah. But I think it does that also to a player standpoint. If you are trying to now go after free agents, you have it in the headlines that you are financially committed to being good. And so therefore, insert name of player, Damian Lillard, that could be entering into free agency, Kawhi Leonard. I think you and I both know that it's not like those guys, Kawhi Leonard, for example, is going to be unrestricted, is Indiana's not going to be the top of his list. But if for whatever reason it's tempting to him, he can look at it and say, well, they got one of the top, 10 highest paid coaches in the league. I think it's tied for 6th, maybe. Mm-hmm. So, they are committed to winning. I mean, a player may say that, or an agent may say that before they send their player there. So, I think you're right. There probably is reason that they threw that number out there to silence, because there was a lot of chatter from people.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they just don't pay.
Yeah. That's always been the chatter. That's always been the chatter, not only as players, but I remember the last coaching cycle when D'Antoni was out there, and everyone's like, well, they're not going to hire D'Antoni. They can't afford him.
Correct.
Or they can't afford him, but they're not going to pay him. So, yeah, 100% I think that's out there. And whether the Simons and Kevin Pritchard want to admit this or not, I think the other motivation for bringing in Carlisle, Jake, is that they're done with this whole, player mutiny dissatisfaction thing. They want to nip that in the bud, because you had this locker room, push out Nate McMillan in 2019, and then they bucked against Bjorkgren last year, right? Or 2020, 2021, whatever it was.
A lot of them did. I mean, Brogdon didn't. Sabonis didn't, supposedly.
We don't think so. Right. Yeah, I mean, we think that Brogdon was kind of the point person with McMillan. We don't really know. I think everybody was dissatisfied up and down the roster and in the front office with Bjorkgren. I mean, that whole thing was a total disaster. But you're not going to do this against Carlisle, A, because he has the track record, he has the championship ring, and B, he's just not going to put up with it. You're not going to walk over him.
Let's go to the other side in fairness, though, in balance. Complaint with the Pacers is it's been forever since they've won a playoff series. Mm-hmm. Same can be said for Rick Carlisle. I know he's got a ring, but what about recent, right?
And again,
what have you done for me lately?
Yeah, and it's not this is not a cure-all for the Pacers. This is not the savior that's, wave psalms, Hosanna, Rick Carlisle is back. Like that's not
Hosanna,
this.
is that by Toto?
I
Hosanna.
don't know what that is.
All I want to do when I wake up in the morning is see
Toto
you.
was Heat of the Moment.
No, that's Asia. No, Heat of the Moment was Asia.
Asia did Rains in Africa.
That's Toto.
That's
was also Toto.
That was Asia.
No, you've got the wrong continent. No, trust me. And it wasn't Europe either. That was Final Countdown.
Okay, well, you're confusing me. You're ruining my train of thought here.
Okay.
There are other moves that are going to have to come here, but I still think, Jake, it's a players' league, okay? You're right. Carlisle's track record recently hasn't been as great, but it's still, you have to have the horses to do it. And some of those Mavericks teams, clearly didn't. It wasn't really until Luka arrived that we even started talking about the Mavericks again. I mean, you're talking about the end of the Dirk era,
right?
Which, God bless Dirk, all-time great and all of that, but he kind of skidded to the finish there in the final couple of years into the infancy of who's going to be, I think, a franchise player for a long time in Luka Doncic. So it was kind of an awkward, I don't know, like a puberty teenage years, these last couple of years for the Mavericks. So I don't hold that all on Carlisle.
Now, speaking of the Mavericks, last night, I shouldn't say last night. We're taping on a Monday, but I turn on Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals with Nate McMillan and the Atlanta Hawks, and I'm thinking, why are they playing the Mavericks?
Yeah, the jerseys.
The Bucks were in all blue. Yeah. Great Lakes blue, by the way, is the color that's in the Bucks uniforms. I looked it up.
Oh, okay.
But that's supposed to be a complimentary color. They were in all blue. But Eastern Conference 2-1, Milwaukee up over Atlanta, at least at the time of taping.
And Phoenix can close out tonight, again, at the time of taping. We're presuming that Phoenix is going to close out the shorthanded Clippers. Kawhi's not coming back for this series. I'd be stunned if L.A. rattled off 3 straight.
Let's begin with that. Kawhi and the Clippers, and now reports are, and I think probably legitimate reports, that Kawhi Leonard is unhappy with the Clippers medical staff. We saw what happened with Kawhi Leonard in San Antonio. And so he moves on. Is Kawhi Leonard a guy that is not going to did Paul George get hoodwinked here? Hey, I'm going to have my running mate, and then boom, he's gone.
I don't know. No one knows what Kawhi Leonard is going to do. He is a unique cat. Let's just put it that way. He's good. Yeah, he's also kind of a malcontent. I think we can once you start to have kind of issues in multiple places, then the problem becomes you more than it is those places, I think. But I honestly, I that's going to be one of the storylines of the offseason for sure. I have no idea what he's going to end up doing. And whatever happens to Paul George, look, Paul George left other teams in the lurch too. So I'm not going to cry any tears for Paul George if he feels like he's put in a situation that he didn't sign up for, because there have been plenty of teams that didn't sign up for the situation that Paul George put them in, notably Indiana and Oklahoma City.
Good point. Paul George is an easy target. I think you got to give credit. I know that he has missed some shots in the closing minutes maybe, or free throws. But Paul George has elevated his game here in the conference finals, where you see he is an elite talent.
Oh, yeah. No one sane has ever questioned that Paul George is a top 15 player, top 15 to 20 player. The problem is that Paul George thinks he's a top 5 to 10 player. And outside of, in 2019, he was phenomenal. I think he finished third in the MVP. He was first team All-NBA. Like, he was literally one of the 5 best players in the NBA that year. But for the most part in his career, Paul George has kind of settled into that.
I think he's
12
to 10
15
is what I would say.
Yeah, see,
Okay, we'll do this again. We do this every once in a while.
I wouldn't go that high.
Okay, give me the players that you would say definitively are better than Paul George.
Okay, well, I want to make sure that I'm not missing anybody. So
LeBron.
Let me just
we can say LeBron,
here.
right?
Yep, we can say
okay.
LeBron.
Steph Curry.
Giannis.
Okay.
Durant.
Obviously. Kawhi, right?
Kawhi's better than him. Yeah, I think most people would agree with that. I think Luka's better than him. I would take Luka right today.
Kyrie Irving?
He would be in that range for me. He's in the Kyrie, Jimmy Butler sort of tier of 12
James
to 20.
Harden?
James Harden's a better player than Paul George, yeah.
Who are we missing here?
Lillard? You take Lillard over PG? I think they're around the same player. Nate, who watches this show, my neighbor in Midtown, was mad because I said that Lillard and George were on the same tier.
I think George might be better just because he's bigger. I think they're similar in terms of what
He's
they bring.
clearly a better all-around player.
That's what I mean.
Because defensively, he's really, really
Damian
good.
Lillard's definitely got a get the hell out of my way mentality.
You have to put Jokic in front of him, right? He's the MVP. My God.
Yeah, you're right.
Paul George's never going to get there.
Okay, at that point, we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay.
So he's right there in that 8 to 12, right?
Yes, but I think you could very easily put 5 or 6 more guys in front of him, and then you're down to 15. I think you can argue. My point is that
Embiid might be up there if he's healthy.
Embiid I would put in front of George as well.
If he's healthy, that's the problem.
I just think that
Anthony Davis.
he can't get to that. He's not quite at that level. I mean, Trae Young, do we have to put Trae Young there now?
Yeah.
Do we have to put Devin Booker there now?
The difference being that he's 6'10" and he's out there going between his legs and pulling up for three. His shot is still inconsistent enough that it's maddening, but he's pretty mega talented.
Yeah, for sure.
Is my point. But so it looks like Phoenix moves on, and what a job that James Jones has done, and Chris Paul, who I have been very down on and thought he's overrated over the course of his career, but now that he's longer in the tooth, he clearly
DeAndre Ayton's been a great player for them
he's
too.
Been unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be a superstar, but
I'll
he's
tell you
going to
what,
be really good.
DeAndre Ayton in this series, what I've noticed, and maybe this is true. I mean, it's not like I watched a lot of Phoenix over the course of the year. He looks like when he goes up for rebounds that he's like his arms are like Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah.
Like he it's like, well, wait a minute. Like he all of a sudden, like it's like his arms are like a lizard's tongue. It's like, I mean, it's unbelievable.
That's a good analogy.
It is pretty good, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But he's been very good for them, and seemingly DeAndre Ayton, and again, over the course of the year, disingenuous for me to say that I studied the Phoenix Suns, but it seems like even just in this series, you've seen before our very eyes the next step of DeAndre Ayton, and that's a large part of why Phoenix is where they are.
Yeah, and you've seen it from Booker. Booker in these playoffs, that was really the one question that he still had to answer because we've never seen it from him before. Can he do this when it really matters? And so
who is the guy
that whole story has been incredible.
Who is the guy that I keep saying is the X factor that every team needs that just makes winning plays?
Crowder? Yeah. They've done a nice job and surrounding that core with some veterans.
The alley-oop to DeAndre Ayton.
Yep.
Perfect pass
and that's what you need. Yes, and that's what you need. And it's just like the Hawks. We're kind of Trae mania here. The Hawks aren't here without Herter. The Hawks aren't here without Capella.
Correct.
Without, and he's kind of struggled in the playoffs, but Bogdanovich had a nice season.
Collins has played well.
I mean, all those guys have been integral to their success so far in the playoffs, and that's kind of what you need too. You can't just be one guy.
The interesting thing for Atlanta is, Trae Young is obviously a special player. Are we seeing right now that Atlanta is the blueprint of, is this the start of what's going to be a 5 to 7 year run for Atlanta being competitive? Or is this going to be typical Atlanta where they're flash in the pan, like really good, and then 3 guys leave and then they're right back to being.
I don't want to make any broad statements about it. I mean, look at the Heat. Remember, the Heat were the talk of the town last year, and they're running the bubble, and then they had a very disappointing season, and some of those guys came crashing back down to earth that were huge factors for them. So I don't know what this means for Atlanta or blueprints. I think really the blueprint is find a guy and then just do everything that you can to build a really good roster around him. And what they did with, Gallinari is a really good NBA player. He's had a really nice career. He's never a superstar or anything like that.
Per game
yeah,
score.
Man. I mean, you need guys like that.
Career averages of Danilo Gallinari.
I think you hit it. I would bet Gallinari for his career is an 18 point per game.
18, okay. I'll say 16. I'll say 16-9. 16-9, and then what about rebounds? 7.6.
I'll go lower. I'll go 6.5.
Okay, 16.9 and 7.6 is my guess. Yours said what? 18 and what?
18 on the dot and 6.5.
Okay.
Here it is. Danilo Gallinari, Basketball Reference. Career stats. 15.9 points per game. And the rebounds are lower. 4.8.
Still pretty good.
Yeah. See, I thought he had a couple of 20-point. He's never had a 20-point per game season, but every year 15, 15, 15, 14, 16, 19, 18,
he's a nice,
15, 19,
here's
18.
The thing. He's a really reliable number 3 or number 4 guy
for sure,
right?
Yeah. And that's all things considered, that's pretty good. I mean, here's a guy the Knicks drafted from Italy, and everybody's like, who the hell's this dude? It's another draft bust, right? And he was involved in the Carmelo trade,
Right.
and he's had some injury issues along the way that probably zapped him reaching his true potential. But there are a lot of guys that would be lucky to have Danilo Gallinari's career.
You're right. A lot to get to today beyond just that, Derek, including our regular features, right?
Yep, we got to get to our features. So our Corey and Schultz winner of the week. We also have the Shops Buy It or Bull Bleep and our friends at Love Heating and Cooling, Chris and John Love, and our Love That Play. Also, Jimmies, what this means, what the shirts means, cryptic message. We'll get to that coming up later on.
Cryptic message.
But next, something that we always thought was going to happen and is now going to happen.
Okay.
And it's not just me moving on to a bigger gig. That's not happening, at least not yet.
Okay.
It's Corey and
We
Schultz.
never thought that was
We'll
gonna
come back with the answer next on ISG Sports Network.
It's here. The moment that will define you. So think of this moment as your moment. The one you've been waiting for. You were built for it. And so were we. WGU, the online university where ambition never rests.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
Let me give a little insight into what happens during our commercial breaks. Typically, what happens during our commercial breaks is a lot of this, okay? Not a lot of conversation between us, but during the commercial break that we just experienced, Derek says out loud to no one, and I'm not going to say the name of the establishment, but apparently, oftentimes when you go into a place, you have to give them your email and your birthday or other such things. And Derek, you have pulled a scam here where you're celebrating year-round?
Well, one of my favorite ice cream joints said, "Hey, happy birthday. Here's a free sundae coupon in my email." And I was like, my birthday? My birthday's in February. But I think I remember doing this. Last year when I went in, there was a big sign that said free sundae on your birthday. So I think I went in today and told them it was my birthday, and then they gave me the free sundae. So now it's a year later. So now I got to go pick up a free sundae again. So not bad.
Are you going to get sprinkles on it?
No. I've never heard of those. I don't know what those are.
Okay.
So no, I'm not going to do that.
You are big on the Jimmies thing.
Mm-hmm.
You call sprinkles Jimmies. That's a regional geographical thing. It's big on the...
It's regional in Indiana that people call them sprinkles, yes.
I think most of the Midwest would say sprinkles.
That's debatable, I think. I think nationally, clearly, Jimmies would be the more dominant term.
No way.
Okay, well, there's no way of knowing, so I guess
There
we'll
is-
just agree to disagree.
So explain your T-shirt.
Do you want me to start with this?
Yes.
Okay, so the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, who were in the International League with the Indians and
They're
now
the ones that
still part of AAA.
for a while have a strip of bacon on their hat.
Yeah, they've now they reorganized AAA, but obviously the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs still exist. They are calling their team the Jimmies for one day, July 11th. And they made jerseys and hats, and as you can see with the photo, those are rainbow Jimmies. They're also chocolate Jimmies that you can get. The logo with the dueling spoons, it's really, really cool, and it's a hot seller. In fact, they've already sold out of the shirt. So I reached out to their team, and in fact, their team president, because I wanted to make sure that they knew, hey, I've got a huge platform, not only in Indianapolis, but all over the Midwest with Corey and Schultz. And he's like, I'm well aware of your work.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I really want to get one of the T-shirts. And so they actually sent me one for free, which is awesome. Thanks to Kurt Landis, the team president of the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs / Jimmies, for sending it. This was a statement from Kurt. In the 15 years I've lived in the region, I've witnessed the debate between Jimmies and Sprinkles, and this should settle it once and for all, as we've decided to embrace Jimmies and forever forth make that the official name of the mini candies we love to include on our ice cream. We're celebrating this monumental decision by renaming the team the Jimmies on July 11th. From the statement, the ever-popular confectionery will be the focus of Lehigh Valley's Iron Pigs Salute to Philadelphia Day on Sunday, July 11th, when they play the Worcester Red Sox, who also call them Jimmies, because I've been to Worcester, Mass., and trust me, that's the popular term.
So
there.
in the Northeast, they say Jimmies. Great.
Jimmies are the
What about
popular
the rest
term
of
for
the
the
country?
itty-bitty ice cream toppings throughout the Philadelphia region and beyond the planet Earth. That from the statement.
Okay. Now, I can tell you this about minor league baseball teams. They love marketing gimmicks, right? They love
They
minor league-
love to market, yeah.
I mean, they're called the Iron Pigs, Derek.
I don't know.
Okay.
Gimmick is a little harsh.
Okay, but they like marketing creativity.
Yeah, I totally agree. Innovation, that's another good word. Better than gimmick.
So, for example, over the weekend I was in, or during the week I should say, I was in Chattanooga. Mm-hmm. And I'm driving into Chattanooga, very cool town, by the way. I'm driving in, and I was going to spend the night in Chattanooga, so I look on the schedule. I'm like, what do you know? The Lookouts are in town, the Chattanooga Lookouts, which is the AA affiliate of the Reds. So I went, bought a ticket to the game, AT&T Field, and which is odd because I got no cell service anywhere, but that's because I now have the 12 and the 5G, and it
We
doesn't
could talk
work.
cell phones coming up a little bit later on the show. It's in the notes.
Very frustrating. So at any rate, I get there, but I don't have AT&T. So I bought a hat. You like this mascot logo?
Yeah.
right?
But I remember it with the C's. So it's got
Well,
the
they
red
do have
C and
their
then the
typical
two eyes.
hat. Their primary hat is a red with the C
Yeah.
and then the two
But
eyeballs.
still, that's awesome.
But the Lookouts. Do you know why Lookout Mountain is called Lookout Mountain?
Civil War related?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So Lookout Mountain, which is basically Chattanooga, is in the Tennessee River Valley, and Lookout Mountain is right above it.
Yeah.
Okay. And Lookout Mountain, it's not because it looks out necessarily the mountain itself, but when they first discovered Lookout Mountain, they went to the top of it, and there were artifacts up there from, like, I shouldn't say they first discovered it because clearly indigenous people, Native Americans, lived
Sure.
on the top of Lookout Mountain. But they discovered things that led them to believe that it was a base of some sort at the top of Lookout Mountain. It has then been used over the course of years for that purpose, notably during the Civil War. The Confederacy had troops up there to overlook, to make sure that Chattanooga was not getting invaded by the Union. Of course, the problem being the Union would be coming from the north, which would be behind them, as opposed to overlooking Chattanooga.
Yes.
So that's why it's called Lookout Mountain. So their mascot, their baseball mascot, the two eyeballs. My point being, coming up with the opposite of the obvious is what minor league teams do. They like to think outside the box with creativity and coming up with things that are different, which is why you'd come up with Jimmies. Jimmies are the version
of-
correct. Sprinkles would be the obvious. But Sprinkles isn't as exciting because it's so obvious. People will be like, yeah, of course, the Sprinkles. So you come up with Jimmies, and it thinks outside the box,
Yeah.
and it looks unique.
Yeah, as opposed to Sprinkles, because there are a ton of teams named Sprinkles.
If teams were going to, nobody would name themselves
Can you
after-
name a single team that has? I mean, if they're so innovative and think outside the box, surely there's a minor league baseball team that has been named the Sprinkles.
The reason they would go with Jimmies is because it automatically tells you that team has to be from the Northeast.
See,
It is
I knew.
it region like the Lookouts.
Okay.
You know that it's from Chattanooga because of Lookout Mountain.
I knew
The
when I drove
Jimmies,
in today.
Geographically speaking,
I knew it.
you automatically know, well, that's clearly from the Northeast.
You have never just taken a loss in your life, have you? We have won. It is over.
No, I don't think so.
We are victorious.
We being who?
Team Jimmies.
Which
You
is the
lost.
Northeast.
No.
What
I
is
have the shirt.
read
You
the
have no shirt.
Read the statement again.
You lost.
Read the statement again.
I will read it again. It very clearly states, Jimmies are the popular term for the itty-bitty ice cream toppings throughout the Philadelphia region and beyond on planet Earth.
Okay. Sure.
I'm so sorry that you can't you can't be humble enough to just take the L on this one, big man.
Why did they have to explain what Jimmies are?
It's over. They didn't. They did it out of the kindness of their hearts. They didn't want to dance on the grave of Sprinkles.
Okay.
That's why they did it. And I'm not trying to dance on your grave here. I've got a big smile on my face. I'm just happy for Team Jimmies. This isn't about me crushing you or anything like that.
By the
This
way-
is just about a win for my side.
By the way, you don't dance on the grave. You actually would use ashes, and when you distribute the ashes over something, how do you do it? You sprinkle,
Toss 'em?
you sprinkle their ashes, right?
That's kind of morbid. Is that
just
that
saying.
what you think of? I guess that's a more prevalent
It's
term
better
for
than saying
sprinkle
you
than an
jimmy.
ice cream topping.
You
Or like
jimmy
it's
the ashes.
sprinkling outside. You know, there's no other term for Jimmies.
So
Jimmies
what
are
is-
only the ice cream topping.
What was it you were telling me we thought was going to happen and now it's happening?
The NFL Combine is going to leave Indianapolis.
We've been hearing this forever, Derek.
Yeah, but we knew that it was going to happen because anything that the NFL can make money off of, they're going to try to do. By the way, this portion of the show brought to you by our friends at Bailey and Wood Financial Group, BAWFG.com. 5-star customer service and 13 Indiana branch locations for Bailey and Wood. Mike Wood and his team will take care of you, whether you're looking to refinance and get that rate lower. I know rates are still closing in the 3s, a 15-year. I think you can still get it down in the 2s. I don't know that, but you should do your homework through Mike and his team. Also, if you're about to be a home buyer, get pre-approval because that housing market, while it's died down a little bit, is still burning white hot.
Okay, number?
855
Yes.
350
Yes.
home.
You got it. Nice.
Had to think about it for a second. but I got it.
855-350 home. What do you think of the hat?
Just the perfect show today. Got the perfect shirt on, hit the perfect phone number,
What do you think of the
perfect
hat?
commercial. It's a great hat. It's a great hat. Look, I think
The,
that.
the lookouts, by the way, Derek, they tweeted me.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Well, the team president of the Lehigh Valley
We both had
Jimmies
we both had good weeks.
sent me a personal correspondence. So.
I tweeted that
No
I
big
was
deal.
at the game. I took a picture with Louie the lookout. He's the mascot. And the Chattanooga Lookouts quote tweeted it with, "Thank you for coming, and we look forward to seeing you again."
Oh, that's great.
We're going to go back to Chattanooga. Spend a weekend.
Really exciting.
I'm a big fan of Chattanooga.
yeah.
Cool city.
Jordan and Jake and everybody behind the glass there, their eyes just lit up. Whoa!
Like this.
Query got
That's
tweeted from a
exact-
AA baseball team? That's amazing.
Their eyes
Wow.
are just like this. That's
Holy
exactly what it
crap.
is right there. That is a direct
Okay.
look at the reaction of people when they found out that the Chattanooga Lookouts.
What I will miss about the NFL Combine is that, and I'm always kind of, and I know you are as well, I'm always a little skeptical of economic impact numbers, but clearly there is some positive economic impact,
Right,
whatever
you're
that
right.
number is for having the Combine here. I remember them throwing out numbers like 25 or 30 million. Mickey Shuey at the Indianapolis Business Journal said it was 8.5 million direct monetary impact in 2019, plus a $10 million like media exposure, which is just kind of a ballpark number.
Let me ask you something, Derek.
impressions and
Let
all
me
of
ask you.
that.
I get all that, and I'm not. I get it. So I can't. I'm not poo-pooing the. I understand. You're right. For restaurants and for hotels, it's very big.
Yeah,
When was the last time you watch a lot of sports, right?
sure.
Give me a sports team off the top of your head. Any of the 3 major sports.
The Knicks.
Okay, New York's a bad example. Sorry, I'll
The
go
Bucks.
with. Okay, the Bucks.
Yeah. So you want
So-
to to go small market?
So during the Eastern Conference Finals, when the Bucks are playing a home game, each break in and out, they're showing an aerial of Milwaukee or the people outside the arena or the river there that goes through it or the lake. Now, when's the last time that you were watching a game and you saw that and turned around to your wife Ashley and said, "You know what? That looks cool. Let's go.
Yeah,
we're
no,
gone. Let's go
I
to
hear
Milwaukee."
ya. You know, one place where I did think of that they would show on TV where I thought that looks amazing was the Riverwalk in San Antonio.
And we went there for the Final
Yeah.
Four, but you've never independently gone there, right?
No, but I always kind of wanted to, and then you and I had a trip of a lifetime, so I'll
Okay.
never go back because I'll never be topped.
Here's my thing about the NFL Combine. When the NFL Combine first became, Derek, part of the American lexicon, let's say it was like in the mid-'80s, and it was, well, nobody's allowed in. I mean, there's a rumor. Leland McElroy, he ran a 40, and he got a standing ovation from all the scouts. Really? Like, what'd he run? Well, rumor is it was blazing. But no one saw it because cameras aren't allowed in. No one's allowed in. Then it was, and everything was, the shuttle drills and the leaping and the broad jump and all that. This is all really important stuff. Then the NFL figured, wait a minute, we could probably make some money on this because people are intrigued by it. Mm-hmm. So to the highest bidders, we're going to allow in 200 very lucky people. We're going to do a lottery, and 200 fans are going to get the opportunity to come in. So fans came in, and fans were like, wait a minute. This is just guys in Speedos, like, doing a meat check and then doing a broad jump.
No.
This isn't I guess this is cool.
People are
because
still
look,
into it.
like there's Bill Belichick eating pretzel bits. I mean, okay. And so people were like, this doesn't, and they were like, no, there's more to it than that. Wait till you see the weightlifting drills. Then they figured out we can make even more money. So now let's put it on television. So they put it on television, and now people can see it, and people are watching it, and they're like, this is kind of cool, but it's like an offensive lineman from Oregon doing a 40 time.
They're watching.
They are, but as people got more and more and more of a glimpse behind the curtain, what did the NFL then say? Yeah, we don't put a lot of stock in the combine anyway. We go with tape. We watch the tape. We got to see what a guy does on film. So now that everybody saw that the combine was 90% glamorous glitz and show BS and a complete cash cow money grab, then suddenly it really theoretically wasn't that important, because God forbid we should let people see behind the curtain of what actually matters and is important. So you should see what takes place in the war room. Now you should see what goes on there in the back. No, we can't let anybody in. But we're telling you now, it's really important stuff. There is no more self-important, grandioso institution in this country than the National Football League. They are holier than thou. They are, but people buy into it. It's the 800-pound gorilla. It's now a 798-pound gorilla. But it's the one thing that still can't be touched. And from a financial standpoint, it's massive. I get it. I totally get it. So just like the draft, which, 950,000 people showed up. It's going to be in Chattanooga next year, and they're going to have 2.5 million people there on Lookout Mountain watching the draft. Just like the draft, this is going to go to the highest bidder, and it's going to go to some city, and all we're going to hear about is how massively important it is until all of a sudden some guy has a problem with an MRI, and he's got to wait an hour and a half at a hospital that's 2 hours away because they took it somewhere that's totally inconvenient. That's why it's in Indianapolis, because of the medical facilities that are so close to where they're doing it all, and they want to be able to get MRIs on guys as quick and efficiently
people
as possible.
don't realize
I'm telling you.
what Indy is set up to do. And like, I've read a lot of the responses to the national reporters saying, hey, be careful what you wish for, because not a lot of places can pull this off. And a lot of people are like in the replies, Green Bay, Wisconsin doesn't have doctors? And I'm like, no, literally, like, you could not do this event in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Derek, in college, if you were in a fraternity, you had what's called summer chapter. Summer chapter is where the fraternity gets together in the middle of the summer, because we can't go 3 months without having a meeting to talk about what we're going to do in terms of putting together Fiji Isle, right? Mm-hmm. So everybody gets together for a weekend in the summer. In reality, it's an excuse for everybody to get together and crush cans of Meisterbrow against their forehead, right? That's exactly what the NFL Combine is. It is summer chapter for a bunch of testosterone-induced sweatpant-wearing guys with lanyards around, and some guy that's got on a lanyard and he's at St. Elmo's Steakhouse trying to budge his way up to the front of the line because he's the number 3 offensive line foot speed coach for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, I do think.
Great.
Look, I think it has importance.
It does.
I think it's overblown, but the NFL overblows everything.
Of course.
I just think this is one of those cases where when they sort of farm this out, it's different from the draft to me, because I could see actually being like a Jaguars fan. Those do exist, by the way. And traveling to see Trevor Lawrence take the stage. I could see that. I can't for the life of me understand why somebody would travel to watch the NFL Combine.
I totally agree.
I can't. And I've been in there. We had tickets right before COVID hit. I went with my buddy Scott McCauley, and we went to the Combine, and they did workouts and all of that.
How boring was it?
Oh, it was terrible. I mean, we had to wait like 3 hours just to be let in to go, and it's the most ridiculous thing in the world that anybody would sit there for more than 10 minutes.
But you did.
And be entertained, yeah. But would I travel to do it? I mean, Jake, right. I walked down the street. I went from Midtown to downtown. It was a bike ride for me, basically, to get down there.
Did you do zip line? Did you do the zip line when the Super Bowl was here?
I hate heights. We tried to do the zip line, and then we got about an hour and a half in line, and then we were like, there's no end to this line.
I did a zip line on Lookout Mountain, and the only other time I'd done zip line was the Super Bowl deal. And the same thing happens where it's great fun, but the launch is tough. My body froze. I'm like, and I've skydived.
Because your brain tells you, I am not supposed to do this right now.
Right. And I mean, I've been skydiving twice, right? Yeah. And that was like, okay, I'm falling out of a plane at 13,000 feet. I'm 45 feet above the ground, and I can't launch myself. The guy had to kind of give me a push.
Yeah. You didn't have the girls on the softball team give you a nudge?
There was a softball tournament. There was a
Weirdo.
60. Okay, so
You're so weird.
I'm driving back from family went to Hilton Head. So I'm driving by myself, and I'm like,
Which is
I'm
a
gonna
normal
go,
thing.
I'm going to go through Chattanooga, right? Mm-hmm. So I stopped for the night in Chattanooga.
By
and-
yourself.
well, what's weird about that?
Go on. Continue.
I don't understand the weird part about traveling by myself.
You went ziplining by yourself.
Well, I
You went
gotta-
to a baseball game by yourself.
What's wrong with that?
It's just kind of like, didn't you want to be there with somebody like
Well, I mean,
Shannon or a buddy? Or,
Shannon couldn't go.
Yeah, I was free.
I was traveling from a family vacation.
I like Hilton
If
Head.
you really want to know, so my sisters and my parents and the whole family goes
Query
to Hilton
clan,
Head.
yep.
Right. And they drive, there's the van with my sister Megan and Philip and their 3 kids drive in one car. And then my parents drive down with Juge and Sue, but they leave again. I had an IndyCar race the weekend, so they were there for like a whole week. So I went in the middle of the week. Shannon couldn't go for work purposes, so it was just me. So I drove down by myself. And on the way back, I'm like, I want to go through Chattanooga. So I went there, and you know what? There's a ball game in town. I'll go and get it was dollar beer night, by the way, at the ballpark.
Ooh.
Yeah. Mystery beer. I said, well, what's the draft mystery beer?
Dollar beer night, I'll drink anything.
Lots
Yeah.
of like early to mid 20s kids, like by the
course.
7th inning, very sloppy, right? At any rate, I wanted to go to Lookout Mountain. I wanted to see Rock City and Ruby Falls. I've only seen the signs my entire life, but it was sold out. So I saw, there's a zip line deal you can do on Lookout Mountain. I'll do that in the morning. That'll be cool. And then I'll head out of town. But there was a softball tournament, so the place was infiltrated with like 16, 17, 18-year-old girls, and then their Under Armour clad dads that are the coaches. So the zip line,
Oakley shades.
yeah, totally. The zip line was a girls' team from Cleveland area, and the 2 dad coaches, one of which that started talking to me about how he's turned off by professional sports because of the kneeling,
Of course, yeah. Shock.
and then because he doesn't like when athletes talk politics, and I'm like, you're voluntarily talking to politics to me in the middle of a zip
Complete
line.
stranger.
Right.
Sir, I am a loner. I am just trying to navigate your softball team here and enjoy this zip line by myself alone.
He was probably
Okay.
vetting me.
Leave me alone,
Who is this
creep
guy? I mean, I was well aware. I'm like, this probably doesn't look good, right? So it's my turn to go on the zip line, and the entire softball team standing there watching me, and I'm like,
This random man has to go first, girls. Wait your turn.
we're going to let him go and hope he doesn't come back.
Don't know where he came from. Apparently, he's on a road trip.
Yeah. It was a
Okay.
little odd.
Has
But
an
that was
Indiana
cool.
driver's license. What? What's he
Hey,
doing here?
But I had the hat.
Okay.
So like, and I showed him the tweet.
Checks
I'm
out.
like, hey, the Lookouts tweeted me, and then that gave me some street cred. What are we doing next?
We got some features to get to.
Okay.
So we're going to do some winners and all of that. Also, want to give a shout out to our friends at WGU Indiana. Don't want to forget about them. We've got, this I don't mind. This is a
Sage.
cute, whatever. This is harmless. It's kind of like I guess it doesn't squeak. But it's one of those like stress toys. I don't mind this Sage. It's this Sage that is kind of the problem for me.
You know what?
I'm not even going to turn around and look
Speaking
at
of the stress toy, maybe it might be that life is stressing you out because there's a job that you want, but you don't have the degree to get it, or you're enrolled in classes and just the schedule itself is stressful. That's the beauty of WGU Indiana, Indiana's largest online accredited university, because you're able to make, I should say, your own schedule. Take the classes as it's necessary for you online at WGU Indiana. You can get that degree that you're coveting. You can finish up a degree, or if you're just doing a career change, WGU Indiana is the place to do it, wgu.edu. Sage, of course, owls nocturnal, right? And so they always have their eyes on the prize, Derek. They can move their heads
It's the creepiest thing in the world.
360 degrees.
But I'm willing to put up with the creepiness because WGU Indiana has been a great partner of ours. They've been with us since the beginning. And
They have.
We obviously want you to support all of these great sponsors that we have that make this show possible. But, really, really appreciate WGU Indiana's partnership with us.
So we have upcoming Love That Play and Biter Bull Schultz, right?
Yeah, we'll lead off Love That Play.
right.
We'll do that when we come back. It's Query and Schultz here on ISC Sports Network. Stick around.
It's here. The moment that will define you. So think of this moment as your moment. The one you've been waiting for. You were built for it. And so were we. WGU, the online university where ambition never rests.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
You can't get enough of them.
You can't get enough of us. Good one, J-Man.
This is the worst scandal. This might
This
even
is
be...
worse than steroid. Not so fast.
Are you going to watch the XFL?
I'll probably watch a little bit of it.
You want to go through and pick some games?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I really don't.
Rolling along here on this, should I say Monday? People know that we tape this on a Monday, right? Well,
They do now.
It's Monday. You're probably watching on a Tuesday. I think a large majority of you watch
Did you
when,
say
when the
rolling
show
along
is
on a
released.
Tuesday? If people are
Well,
watching
no,
on
I
a
don't
Tuesday?
want to. Unlike you, I don't like lying. Not a liar.
Okay.
I don't like misrepresenting the truth.
Okay.
It's Query and Schultz. I'm Derek Schultz. He's Jake Query. Thanks so much for joining us. Whether you are following us on ISC Sports Network, perhaps you are watching our YouTube archive, youtube.com/Query and Schultz. Maybe you're listening in podcast form, so you can't even see us right now.
Would this have looked
iTunes,
odd if I
Google
wore it
Podcasts,
this way on
everything else?
my solo road trip with the softball kids and the zip line?
Well, the problem is that now that
Hey,
you've
fella.
gone all the way white on the sideburns,
Yeah, I know.
the backwards hat,
I know. Yeah, it's rough.
yeah, you can never do it again like that.
Hey, fellow kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man, that is. Look how silver that is.
Yeah, you just can't.
Woo. Not good.
It'd be like a really young person using one of those walkers that had tennis balls on the bottom of them. Like that's kind of how it looks. Like it
Okay.
just does not work at all.
You know what does work and works year-round, as a matter of fact, and 24 hours a day on-call maintenance? Love Heating and Air Conditioning. Love-HVAC.com. 317-353-2141. A lot of people ask me, they're like, Jake, how long have you known the Loves? I said, well, basically my entire life. I grew up with Chris and John Love. But they are a fourth-generation family business. Fourth generation. And most family businesses, by the time you get to the second or third generation, things, kind of taper off. Not with Love Heating and Air. And the reason they've been able to last for over 100 years, great product, quality and knowledge of that product, right? So a great quality product and knowledge of it, but a commitment to customer service and a 24-hour on-call maintenance, making sure no matter what the season that you are good to go with Love Heating and Air Conditioning. Family owned and operated since 1920. And Derek, they are, of course, the proud sponsor, at least I hope they're proud of it, of one of our features, right?
That's right. Our Love That Play, 353-2141, love-hvac.com. My nomination is somebody that we had on the show very early in his career and is now starting to, I think, ascend, maybe not into being a superstar, but a really good player and an amazing defender.
An amazing
Baseball
defender.
player.
Okay, I'm going to go with Bell from the Pirates.
No, but that's actually a great guess. We had Josh Bell on very early. Well, I mean, obviously he was with the Indians. It was before he made his Major League debut. We went down to Bradenton, Florida in our last spring on the show with the Indians to take in the Pirates spring training facility. And we did a live show down there from their spring training in early March of 2019. And they had a young kid named Brian Hayes, who is the son of Charlie Hayes and was regarded as one of their top prospects. I think at that time he was their number 2. I think Mitch Keller was their number 1 at that time, who's been with the big league club for a while now. But Key Brian was a really nice kid, and we did the show live with him on the air. I think I should have looked this up beforehand. I think his middle name is Kobe. That's how young he is, where we're now starting to have kids that are named after like NBA players where I can remember when they were drafted. So it's starting to make me feel old. He had an incredible play in yesterday's game where it's hard for me to even explain it. We can't play it because MLB, with the licensing and all of that, but he went far into third base territory to throw out, I think it was Yachty, who
It was Yadi.
yeah,
Yep.
you know, you needed it maybe to be Yachty to make that play and get an out. But the fact that he is ranging all the way into foul territory, jumping up and throwing the ball, perfect strike to first base to get that out.
Not many guys can make that play.
It was one of the best defensive plays I've ever seen. He's still coming along as a hitter, but defensively already he's one of the elite third basemen in Major League Baseball.
I'm going to go, Derek, with a kid. John Love is the brother-in-law of the head football coach at Cathedral, right?
Yeah, Bill Peebles,
So,
great dude. Great
he
dude,
is a
Coach
great dude.
Peebles.
And the Peebles family, great people. I worked with Terry when I was in high school, who was a great player in his own right. But at any rate, Cathedral has produced Cole Hawker, who is a long-distance runner, who over the course of the weekend won the 1,500-meter finals in the Olympic. Of course, we're now at the stage of the Olympic trials to set the Olympic team. So Cathedral, the Irish, will have a representative representing the United States of America in the track and field Olympics, as Cole Hawker won the 1,500-meter in terms of the, Olympic tryouts, I guess, right?
Trials,
Yeah. So that was cool to see him win on NBC. It was late at night because they had to do it late because it 148-degree track temperatures. It was 105 degrees in Eugene, Oregon.
Yikes.
It's crazy, right? So they ran it at 12. So over the course of the turning into the week, so 12:40 at night, in the morning, whichever way you want to look at it. Cole Hawker, congratulations. That is love that play.
Indiana's
Moving
fingerprints are going to be all over these Summer Olympics. There are a ton from Cole to Lily King to IU, Indy, all Purdue, all of it. Cathedral going to be involved in this.
WTHR covers it obviously because it's going to air on NBC.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching the news and I'm like, is this an Olympic special? Like the first 15 minutes of
Oh,
the local
really?
news
Yeah.
was nothing but like updates of what was going on in the Olympics.
You know who does a great job with it too is a guy that's covered. This has to be at least his fifth, if not maybe his sixth or seventh Olympiad, or will be, is David Woods of the Indy Star,
Yeah.
who's who else provides that sort of.
He knows every
coverage.
track and
He knows
field.
all that
Yeah,
stuff.
you're right.
Inside and out. So and obviously is their Butler beat writer as well. But just wanted to give Woodsy a shout out for the great stuff that he does there.
He's always keeping a lookout for the Olympics there.
Mm-hmm. You ready for our winner of the week?
I am.
Our winner of the week brought to you by
Mine
a
would be
bunch of
Cole
winners.
Hawker, but you go ahead.
The Indianapolis Alley Cats,
Oh, do you have
myalleycats.com
the Frisbee?
for tickets and info. Yep, it is safely over here, and this is a permanent display.
Can you hand me that Frisbee?
No, I will not.
We had two Frisbees. Don't we have another one?
No, we don't. The other one has been burned.
You can't burn
We
a
melted
Frisbee.
it. We melted it with a lighter. Yeah.
Well, where is that other Frisbee?
myalleycats.com for their slate, their home games at Grand Park. It's a fantastic team,
They asked us to put two props on.
and they put on a terrific show. And they've got gear as well, if you want to check that out. Derek Toe, who is their owner, Derek, spells it the same way I do, reached out via email this week and said, hey, we're so psyched to be partnered up with you guys again. Great dude. He was a listener to the show. No, do not do that. It's not funny.
It's very funny. Kids love that. When we did it. We had a meeting the other day, Derek. We were asking. We did a review of some of the first 41 shows, and one of the top things that they said: Frisbees. Love Frisbees. Dogs love Frisbees. Kids love Frisbees. That's why it's a great family
no one
event
did
to go out and check out the Alley Cats at Grand Park,
Okay.
right? Woo.
We don't have any R&D,
R&D.
research and development anymore.
Okay.
That was an iHeart thing. Even though iHeart fired all of their R&D guys. So
right.
they don't have it either, I guess, anymore.
Hang on.
Do you have somebody in mind for a winner of the week? You know what? Here, how about this for a winner of the week?
iHeart researched a lot of stuff, Derek. Not a lot of development.
I usually pre-prepare this, but I didn't for this time. I'm actually going to give Kevin Pritchard a little bit of love. He's started to come, I think, not under the microscope. You're always under a microscope as an NBA
hands.
president and general manager. But he is, I think, started to get some criticism a lot. And for him to come through with the Carlisle hire, it's a masterstroke. It's a great move. It's the best possible outcome for the Pacers, given what we knew about the candidates that were potentially interested.
How close do you think?
So
I can
I
throw
think
this
Pritchard,
to that
for
camera
as
without-
much as we knock him for the drafting
without hitting the camera.
and for the flaws of the roster
you know how
and the
cool
fact
that'll
that he hasn't overseen a team that has yet won a playoff series, there's still a lot of work to be done for the Kevin Pritchard era. but I'm going to give him a little bit of a break for this.
Do you think
He's
I could
taken a
get
lot
it
of criticism? He's my winner this week.
Right over the camera without hitting the camera?
Jake, I'm sorry. I know that Jake prepares the studio. I thought that I told you to dispose of the Frisbees. Did that not happen?
Right here, this one.
See,
Which
he's
one
giving
should
me
I
the
go
thumbs
with?
up.
I'm going to go with this
He
one right
placed
here.
the Frisbee over here like I'd asked, but I told him to get rid of the
Derek,
other one.
this is what we call innovative television. When I throw this right here, and as close as I can.
There are people listening to the podcast that have no idea what the hell you're doing right now. That's why.
Is there anything behind the camera?
We
that
have
would
to make
break?
this a
I don't
watch
think
and a
so,
listen
right?
show. Please do not throw that in here. These cameras are actually really expensive.
I know, but what,
The gear that we have
it'll
over
go
here.
up over the camera. I'm not going to hit the
No,
camera.
do not throw it in here.
Why?
Don't do it.
Watch this. Watch this.
No,
Right,
don't do that. You're going to hit the lens and you're
No,
going to break
hold on.
everything.
Look at that.
Great.
It's awesome.
You're very lucky that hit a
If
random
you could-
Amazon box.
If you
in
could
the
do
back
that in
there.
slow-mo, like
No,
the
we're not
effect.
doing. We're not doing effects.
Fighter Bull Schultz next.
I guess as long as you don't break anything else in the studio.
Can you hand me that other frisbee?
And then we'll wrap
that
up.
Frisbee's gone.
It's Corey and Schultz,
That's what-
ISC Sports
what
Network.
the wind's out of your sails.
Yeah, big time.
It's here. The moment that will define you. So think of this moment as your moment. The one you've been waiting for. You were built for it. And so were we. WGU, the online university where ambition never rests.
You can't get enough of them.
You can't get enough of us. Good one, J-Man.
This is the worst scandal. This might
This
even
is
be.
worse than steroid. Not so fast.
Are you going to watch the XFL?
I'll probably watch a little bit of it.
You want to go through and pick some games?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I really don't.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
Oh my God!
We are ripping fast today.
How hard can it be, right?
These are now selling for about $3,500. So we're back to our old ways of pulling rocks.
Act like idiots on camera, open cards, and talk about the hobby.
Back
By
for a
the
final
way-
time.
Oh, sorry. I was going
I thought I was going to go.
No.
God, you stepped on me. All right, we'll get that in post. 3, 2, 1. Back for a final time here on Query and Schultz, here on ISC
Okay.
Sports Network. I'm your host, Derek Schultz. Jay Query here as well.
I misspoke, by the way, Derek. Cole Hawker does not have yet the Olympic, whatever it is, like certification. So he has to wait until next week to find out if he will go to Tokyo.
Oh, okay.
Even though he won the 1500 in the Olympic trials, there are still other things that have to happen. That's beyond my level of comprehension necessarily, but it comes with a little bit of a disclaimer that he is not yet confirmed to go to Tokyo.
Yeah, this whole show needs a disclaimer. So I think people know not to really take anything that we say seriously on this program for the most part.
Yeah, you're wearing a Jimmy's.
Getting Sage out of there.
No.
This portion of the show, the final portion of the show,
Drop Sage.
brought to you by our friends. I'm not reaching
Drop
under this
Sage.
desk while we're on the air.
Why not?
I'm not
It's
going to do
just
it. It's
to your
weird.
left.
It's weird.
But they're a sponsor, Derek. They're a fairly big one.
Chateau Kitchens is a fairly big sponsor as well. Stephen Moore and his team at Chateau Kitchens can do everything that you need to do, any interior work when it comes to remodeling. They are also one of the premier cabinetry providers and manufacturers in central Indiana. ChateauKitchens.com, at Chateau Kitchens on Instagram, or at Chateau Kitchens on Facebook. You see some of the before and after pictures.
Did great work at your house. no
Yeah,
doubt.
we've got a listener on the show that I know was going to reach out to them this week. He was DMing me about, hey, what's the deal with Chateau Kitchens? You talk about them, you rave about them all the time. We're in need of some work. We're going to reach out, so we're excited to link anybody up with Chateau Kitchens because
our
they do
friend
amazing,
in Maine,
amazing work.
Our friend in Maine, Matthew, that listens to the show.
Yeah.
He spells his name as you'd mentioned the French version, but he was happy that we pronounced it correctly. I think in honor of Chateau Kitchens, we should actually call him Matho. Spelled
You seem to be really fixated on the Chateau thing.
Chat to you, yeah.
Yeah.
But Chateau Kitchen, so
And I think it's hurt their branding.
well, if they want to expand Matthew, for example, if they want to do his kitchen, Matthew was posting online this weekend. He did some renovations in his house. So he's in Maine, granted.
Yeah, they
But
can't go to Maine.
We'll call him Matho. To me, he is Matho. He's Matho Chateau.
You know, Chateau Kitchen's partnered with us because Stephen A. is a friend and a guy that's done work in my house, but also because they want to enhance their brand.
Understood?
In not only in Indianapolis,
like
but
in
in
Maine.
central Indiana in general, and nationally, I guess, too. I think it would be better if moving forward, when we do these, like the spot, okay, this is when we're going to talk about Chateau, only I talk.
No,
Like, you could wear the hat or even a shirt, like that could be your contribution, but I don't want any actual, like, verbal contribution from you
they like reinforcement.
for the read.
Like Bailey and Wood, people wouldn't even know that the phone number is 855-350.
Okay, so I had a little bit of trouble with the phone number with Bailey Wood. I've not had any trouble with the Chateau stuff. Not had any of it.
Chateau Kitchens and home remodeling.
Okay. That is the last time that you speak during the Chateau
Website
Kitchens
for them?
portion. ChateauKitchens.com.
Okay.
You ready for Bite or Bowl Bleep?
I am.
Let's do it. Brought to you by our friends at the Shop Indy, theshopindy.com. Jake, you can talk during this as well. I went to their new location.
Now
by
I'm
the way.
allowed to talk during these?
You could do this one.
You went to the location next to 920 Broadwell Avenue?
It's next door.
Yeah, it's next to Union
I don't know
Jack
if it's
on
still
Broadway.
920 or not. It might be 922 or 918, but it's really cool. It's a bigger space. And went in there, snapped a few photos on Twitter at Schultz975 if you want to check those out. We also, I think, put it on our Query and Schultz Facebook page. And it's a cooler layout than their previous locations. So if you haven't checked it out and you're in Midtown, check out the new shop
Midtown.
location. Yep.
Okay.
Also up in Clay Terrace. There are 2 brick and mortar locations in Indianapolis. And
TheShopIndy.com. T-shirts of local sports and, of course, pop culture throughout retro Indianapolis. They have actually a T-shirt that's a benefit T-shirt for Hooks Drug Stores at the shop.
Nice.
Clay Terrace and on Broadwell Avenue.
They also have stickers. They've got a lot of cool
Little
stuff
of
in
everything.
there. They have a framed picture of the brawl, too. And Carlisle got hired like an hour after I went to the
Really?
shop. So I thought, this is interesting.
Is it the
It's
one
all
where
coming
he's in
together.
the middle? Like,
Yep.
yeah.
But they framed it, which I didn't know how I felt about. I didn't think that was a frameable moment. Helped the Pistons win a title, so I guess it was a frameable moment for them. But
The
or I
Pistons
guess
had already-
they got
the Pistons
back
had already
to
won
the
the
finals.
title. Yeah.
They got back to the finals that year and lost to Detroit.
Yeah.
Which is amazing because that was a 7-game series, and no one cares.
The
Like,
Pacers,
did anybody watch that series?
The Pacers would have won the NBA title if not for the brawl. That's the conventional wisdom.
And they got knocked out because that was the Tayshaun Prince block year, wasn't it?
No, that was the year before.
Okay.
The Tayshaun.
But they got knocked out that year again by the Pistons in the conference semifinals because that was Reggie's last year.
No, the brawl year. I don't think they made it to the conference semifinals, did they?
Yeah, they did. They beat Boston, I think, in the first round in a 3-6 matchup.
Oh, that's right.
And then
Yeah, you're
and
right.
then they
I
lost
covered
to
that.
Detroit.
They won a game 7 out there, I think, or maybe it was
I think that might be right.
Yeah.
That they won in Game 7. I don't.
or game. I think it was
remember.
Game 6 in
Okay.
Boston,
Whatever it was.
or Game 5, or it was 5-game series, right? Whatever it was, they won by like. I remember going back.
No, I think it was 7 games by then.
I remember going to Boston to cover that final game and thinking to myself, this is undoubtedly, now it's all coming back to me. I was like, this is going to be Reggie's last game. Like, he's in Boston Garden, and they're going to lose, and the season's going to end, and that means it's the last game for Reggie Miller. And they came out, and the Pacers absolutely blew Boston off the floor. I was like, oh, my God. I mean,
Yeah, it was a Game 7 because at that point
they won
had
by, what, they
7-game
win by
series.
20-something?
97-70.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
it blew them out of the building.
And that was after the Celtics had won Game 6 in overtime at Conseco, then
That's right.
Conseco Fieldhouse.
So then they went and took on Detroit and were eliminated, and that was the end of Reggie Miller's career.
Yes.
Okay, buy it or bull Schultz. You make a statement, and then we say whether we buy it or we consider it to be bull Schultz.
Statement 1, and this is still yet to be determined, but I think it's starting to feel like this is going to happen, certainly in the Western Conference. People won't watch a Suns-Bucks finals, buy it or bull.
I'm going to say that is bull Schultz because I think the NBA playoffs have become really competitive, and people have enjoyed watching it, and you have an emerging star in Trae Young. I realize that he would not be in the equation you're talking about. So people are watching that because you're seeing this before your eyes. And so as a result of that, they're seeing Middleton and Giannis, and I think Giannis is an exciting player. The Suns themselves, I think people like Chris Paul and they like Booker. Ayton's playing well as well, but there's no maybe major star oomph there. And, yeah, ratings will be down a little bit if New York and L.A. aren't tuning in. But no, I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I buy it in the sense that the ratings aren't going to be good. There's just no way around it. When you have Phoenix and Milwaukee, the ratings aren't going to be
But
great.
ratings don't account for the number of people that are watching in sports bars and other such things.
Yeah, again, I want to prepare everybody. Like, I'm not bucking against it and saying, oh, the ratings are going to be great. They're not going to be great, admittedly. There's no LeBron, right? There's no, like, marquee kind of draw. NBA fans will watch, and I think it'll be a great series. So, of course, people will watch. But the narratives about the ratings are probably going to end up being true because that's just life.
Right.
That's the way that it is. You know, as much as we say that Tom Brady, we hate Tom Brady, we want to see Tom Brady lose. If Jacksonville had made the Super Bowl, it would have taken a hit to that matchup a couple of years ago, you know, because it's Jacksonville.
Right.
That's just, as much as you hate Brady, you want to see Brady. As much as you hate LeBron, people tune in to see LeBron. And when you don't have that, it takes a little bit of a hit. So what I don't like, Jake, is just throwing the entire series out and saying, oh, this is a disaster. It's not a disaster. I think it's actually a breath of fresh air for the NBA. And it also helps the NBA's rigged crowd
Right,
if you'd
it
have a
does that.
Phoenix-Milwaukee
You're right.
series. Statement 2, 4th of July is actually underrated. Buy it or bull bleep.
That's bullshit. 4th of July is actually Independence Day.
You think so?
I think it's overrated, and I'll tell you why. I understand that, it is a nice – it depends on the day of the week. If when it falls on a
Yeah,
Sunday, it's like,
kinda sucks.
really? I mean,
Kinda
but when it's on a
feel
Wednesday,
gypped.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But people are pyromaniacs, right? And, like, listen, every year I say this. If you want to sit out in your front yard and set off a couple of bottle rockets or the little Roman candles or whatever, I get it. If you are setting off full aerial mortar bombs a week
It's a little
before
much.
or after 4th of July, you are a totally, like, self-absorbed jerk. And the rest of your neighborhood hates you.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, like, the boom. I mean, the loud, like, house rattlers. Yeah,
Little different than the bottle
it's
rockets.
June 28th. Get over yourself. What are you, 9?
Yeah, and you have some leeway here. I think you basically have 4th of July weekend to set off the fireworks. When you're setting them off, we had somebody in our neighborhood that was setting them off like July 22nd. We're like, no, dude, like
Yeah,
whatever you
it's
didn't use, you got to trash.
Yeah, it's over.
Hose them down and put them in the garbage because you lost out on that. I actually think that it is underrated because, like, New Year's Eve to me is grossly overrated.
It's hard to disagree with that.
And I think 4th of July is – it's hard in Indianapolis, Jake, because I think for most people, the signal of summer and all of that is July 4th. Here in Indy, it's clearly Memorial Day because of the race and everything like that.
Right.
I don't know if you have that everywhere. For me, we didn't get out of school until the 20s in late June because we didn't go until Labor Day, usually when I was a kid. So July 4th was the signal of the start of summer
Right.
for me as a kid. So that I've always kind of held that special in my heart.
What month has the most holidays?
I don't know the answer to that.
We can do it quickly, right?
Were you thinking of July?
I don't know.
Well, July has July 4th.
Okay.
August has nothing, right?
When's Arbor Day? Is that
April 22nd? Yeah.
Who pulls that off?
A
the top
lot
their
of people know when Arbor Day is. Yeah. Yeah.
head?
Sorry, do you hate trees? I didn't know that about you. Jay Query, anti-trees.
What am I doing a show here with John Muir? What the heck?
Who's that?
Okay. September, you got Labor Day.
Yep.
That pretty much runs it. October, you got Halloween.
I mean, you have religious holidays. You have like Yom Kippur, and I think Rosh Hashanah is September.
I'm saying, like, okay, October, you have
Columbus Day doesn't
Columbus
count
Day.
anymore.
And okay, November, you got Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
December.
And Veterans Day in November.
Veterans Day, okay,
Veterans
so that's
Day,
two.
yep. December, just Christmas, Hanukkah.
Christmas is a religious
Kwanzaa.
holiday too, but it's a major holiday. January, you got
New Year's.
New Year's Day. Martin Luther King Day's in January.
Yep. Valentine's Day, February. President's
President's
Day.
Day's in February, so you got 2 in February.
Yeah.
March, just
St. Patty's. I think that's it.
it's fun when I talk like a leprechaun.
Yeah.
People love that.
No, people hate that.
And then April, just
Easter.
April Fool's Day, right?
Well, it depends. Can Easter also be in March sometimes?
I think Easter has to be
Yeah.
the last Sunday in April, doesn't it? Or does
No.
it have to do with the religious calendar?
I think, it's that. I think Easter can sometimes be in March, but I might be wrong about that. Then you
Or
have
is it
Arbor
the first
Day.
Sunday in April, whatever. It is.
Earth Day.
When's Earth Day?
I think Earth Day's.
So,
Wait,
it's
am
420?
I? Is Earth Day 420? I don't think that's right. Am I mixing
a
up
holiday?
Earth Day and Arbor Day?
Aren't you the Arbor Day expert?
Arbor
who's
Day.
Mr. Hate Trees now?
Date.
Okay.
Okay. Arbor Day is the last Friday in April. Earth Day is April 22nd. That's what it is. So it's after.
So as a pothead, you were getting confused.
I don't know. Do people still say trees for that anymore? Like smoking trees? There's no way that people say that anymore, right? That's like smoking grass. Like with my dad.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Your dad smokes grass?
No,
You
but
smoke
that's
grass
what
with
he
your
always
dad?
called it.
When did you smoke grass with your
No,
dad?
Never.
Okay.
Never.
Wow.
Not that I have any problem with that. Go ahead.
smoking grass with
I'm
your dad?
I am very pro marijuana. That doesn't have anything to do with individually how I may or may not consume it, but I am pro marijuana rights.
Okay. What's next on Bite or Bull, Schultz?
Oh yeah, we got to do that, don't we? So do we determine on holidays?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Okay, April, because you got the 1-2 environmental punch of Arbor Day and Earth Day.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to hit the mic.
April Fools, are we counting that?
Statement 3, and I think you'll agree with this given your experience, because I know you've used most of them. All cell phone carriers suck.
Yes.
Bite or bull bleep.
I'm not going to say which cell phone carrier I currently have, but I did because my old phone was basically just going, as more updates were coming along, it was becoming more and more outdated. So I got the new 12, the iPhone 12, and in getting the iPhone 12, it's a 5G phone. Hooray, 5G. That's all the new rage, right? I mean, we've all got it now with the vaccine anyway. It sucks.
Because 5G never works, right?
It
There aren't
doesn't
enough
work.
towers.
And so then it boots you down to 4G, but you go to the back of the line apparently for 4G reception. I'm never getting more than 1 bar.
Yikes.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. I can't make a call.
Have you called customer service?
Oh. Yeah,
Oh, boy.
I think I'm going to have to switch carriers. I've been with the same carrier forever. Will I be able to keep my number, though?
Yeah, because I've done that. Because I switched to AT&T. AT&T had a great deal, and then we had AT&T internet, so we bundled it. But then I had a dead spot in my house, so I couldn't send or receive calls while I was indoors in my house. So I called back up AT&T, and I was like, hey, this isn't going to work, you guys. I'm sorry. Obviously I need to be able to field calls in my own home. So I went back to Verizon. So that's who I use now. But I have an older phone. I always do. Phones to me are the ultimate nope. Phones and cars are the same thing. The only point to me of a car is to get from point A to point B. For a phone, I just need it to work and send texts and get on the internet. Like I don't need it to reinvent the wheel.
Totally.
So
agree.
I'm a dated, used Honda Civic guy, and I always have a phone that is at least 2 or 3 generations
That's smart,
behind.
though, because it allows.
So I have an
SE,
SE, a second generation SE, but still, those came out in like 2019, I think. So I'm way behind the Apple 8 ball, if you will. But it
SE
works.
is what number?
It would be
Like an 8 or a 9?
before the 11.
Okay, that's not
Yeah.
bad. I had an 8, so everything was all the.
I don't think they had a 9. I think they went from 8 to 10. I think they went to an iPhone 10 right after that. So I think SE second generation came out after the 10 and before the 11.
Well, Chateau Kitchens.
Yeah.
Do you have any sort of like masonry that you want them to do for you? Because you can have this because it's a brick. Just take it.
Oh, that's
worthless.
good. Yeah. See, I'll include that in the read. And be like, hey, look at Jake really helped your company because he used the word brick for some reason in masonry when it came to you. Even though they do cabinets and home remodeling, I don't think they really focus on stone unless it's
I'll bet they do.
countertop.
They can do anything.
And
there.
they can
Granite.
do it. Yeah. You don't have to worry about it because you have a 2-bedroom apartment.
Don't
where
take
you
it
live
for
alone.
granted.
That's another reason you shouldn't be part of the Chateau Read. 2-bedroom apartment where you live alone. Go to Chattanooga with a softball team. Zip line by yourself. Chattanooga Lucas.
That's right.
Minor league game. By yourself. No big deal. Thanks to all our great sponsors. Chateau Kitchens, WGU Indiana, The Shop Indy.
Apparently the
Love
Iron
Heating
Pigs and the
Cooling.
Lookouts as well.
Our friends, the Alley Cats. Jake breaking stuff with their Frisbees, but it's a great show. Go to myalleycats.com to check them out. And Bailey and Wood Financial Group. Don't want to forget them. BAWFG.com and 855-350-HOME. Mike Wood
got it.
and his
Impressive.
team, 5-star customer service. Don't go with the national guys. Get somebody you know. Get somebody that knows Central Indiana.
And when you need to call them,
handle your
don't
mortgage.
do it on your new 12.
That's right. They're going to get you great rates. 13 branch locations as well. If you want to go in to see them in person, you can do so. Bailey and Wood Financial Group, BAWFG.com, 855-350-HOME.
All right.
We will see you next week. Have a great 4th of July.
that?
I don't know what I was doing with my hands. Yeah, we'll get that. We'll get that in post.
Okay.
We'll see you next week on Query and Schultz. What are we doing?
It's here. The moment that will define you. So think of this moment as your moment. The one you've been waiting for. You were built for it. And so were we. WGU, the online university where ambition never rests.